afternoon garage. So if you've been watching this series, you know I've had problems with the ignition distributor and know I wasn't able to get one, so gonna kind of hit the brakes on that and work on the brakes today. So if you watched any of my other videos, you know I have a front end video where I disassembled the whole front end suspension, kind of took it all apart, refinished everything, threw it back together, and did the same with the rear. There's two separate videos for that, so if you haven't seen that, go check it out. And what I left off in both of those videos is the brakes. So I figured we'd get into that today. One thing is I wanted to be able to keep it as low cost as possible, and I don't really want to kind of upgrade them to the point where I'm going to start having problems with them. So here's the brake rotor. Brake rotor's in really good shape. I spec'd it out. It's got lots of material, lots of thickness on there. You can probably reuse these, but I think I want to go with something else. And same with calipers here too. These calipers are, well, probably the original calipers. The pads are really tiny in this thing. Not really quite sure if this thing stopped very well stocked, but definitely want to kind of upgrade these and be taking all the lines off and seeing what I could do as far as, you know, making it cost effective and maybe reusing some of these parts. But we'll see how that goes. Let's go to the bench and I'll show you what kind of parts I rounded up and, well, see if we can make this happen. Okay, here's all the parts I've kind of collected for this project. So this whole thing is kind of be based on these caliper adapters. So these are 911 to Boxster, Porsche Boxster adapters. And basically what I did was I contacted a manufacturer that makes the whole kit. They said they couldn't provide it, so I was actually able to get a hold of the gentleman who runs the CNC machine for these adapters, and he ran a set for me, and I was just able to buy the brackets without having to buy all the hardware, and there's a lot more things that go along with this. So I'll kind of have to piece it together, but you kind of have to watch it because these hex screws, you're going to have to get these, and they also have a different thread pitch and different length, so I'll show you what that is. And also, since we're going from 2-piston to 4-piston, you want to push a lot more fluid, so you want to get the 930 master cylinder there. Not quite sure if this is actually a 24mm bore, 24mm bore, so I'm going to have to pull it out of the package. Actually, I'm going to take it apart and measure the bore size. Make sure that that's going to be right first before I go install it. And you have stock aftermarket stainless brake lines. So the whole thing should work together, so I think I'll get some Boxster calipers and refinish them, and well, see if this whole thing works together.
2 weeks later.
Right, here's these 986 Boxster calipers here, 4-piston Brembo. So I think what I'm going to do is pull the pads out of these things and get all the brake hardware out of here. Take all the lines off and the bleeder screws. I'm going to plug them with some silicone plugs here, and I have caps here as well. And then paint these red to match the car.
One hour later.
Well, these turned out pretty good. Alright, so I'm going to start on the front end. So this front caliper, I loaded it, put brand new pads in it, and got new brake hardware in each one of them. That piece we refinished a while ago, the hub, and that's basically just going to bolt to the rotor. One thing you have to do is you have to make a brake line. So you have to make 4 hard lines, 2 for the front, 2 for the rear. And these were the original ones that were on there. You can see they're really short, but since the caliper has the fitting on the back, well, it has to be a lot longer. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my old caliper, take the line off of it, see if I can straighten it out, and then kind of reuse it. So I need to go to the vehicle, kind of set this all up where it's supposed to be, and then make a template and, well, try to bend this up as close as I can, make it fit. Now to get these brake lines to fit, I got, well, this is my 10-inch piece of recycled brake line here. I got pretty straight, and I took a 10-inch piece of aluminum TIG wire. Yeah, there we go. That fits pretty good. So I had to do a bunch of tweaking with it and, you know, bend it here and there kind of by hand, and matches my template pretty good. And, well, only have to do this 3 more times. This thing I'm going to do is a parking brake. That thing's not set up yet, so I really kind of went online, tried to see exactly how to set this thing up, and there was really hardly any information about, you know, cable lengths and that kind of thing and adjustments. So kind of show you what I think. It's going to produce a really nice tight cable. Little bit of throw. The best way I think you can set this thing up is put the rod all the way through, put the nut on, put the cotter pin in. And then how to adjust this is you just kind of want it just where the sleeve just contacts this little butterfly spring here. Just as it starts to contact. And then lock that right into position. Then that'll mean that once it does get engaged, that it's going to be, your travel is going to actually mean something and move the shoes out. So you want to take up all that slack first. And then turning this thing in and out with the screwdriver, kind of want to adjust it. So this thing just starts to drag. And when it starts to drag, I back it off about 5 clicks or so just to make sure that it's not gonna be dragging. There's a drum in there, so just want to make sure it moves freely, doesn't really drag. Next thing is, with this caliper bracket on here, this thing's up too high, so we're gonna have to trim that. Alright, now I get to make the rear line. So this time we'll be using a brand new piece of 12-inch tubing, which is kind of nice. I don't have to straighten it out. And, well, 12-inch piece of TIG rod here. So we'll mount the caliper and then bend the piece up.
A few moments later.
Alright, that's pretty close to where I want it to be. Should have, you know, 1, 2, just 3 bends in it. Looks pretty straight, kind of comes off at an angle like that. But anyway, we'll go to the bench and we'll bend this up and well, get the rear done. And you're gonna have to take an Allen key and cut it down to get this last hex bolt in. So everything's going good, got everything bolted up, kind of want to get everything really tight. You know, put that line on and I see a problem. Look what happened. Okay, you can see that brake line hanging out of the back here. And that body, which is about, oh shoot, what is it? That's about 5 inches. So being that, so that's only going to give you 5 inches of travel, and I would say I'm more than 5 inches off the ground, so that's just going to destroy that brake line there. So that's not going to work.
24 hours later.
All right, so I think what I'm going to do just for now is I put a real tight radius bend in there. I really don't think it's going to hit. It's probably a 1/4 inch away, so it should be pretty good clearance. I'm going to go with that. See if it rubs, causes me any problems. You definitely don't want this breaking off. Here's a problem I never thought of. Uh-oh. That won't fit in there. It'll fit in between the pads, but not these pieces. So I'm going to have to trim probably a 1/16 of an inch off of each one of these. Got the front and the rear calipers installed. I'm pretty sure they're in the right places. Made sure that nothing was out of round or anything like that. I think they're going to work just fine the way they are. So you can see the hardest part of this was making the brake lines, but actually the hardest part of this was locating those caliper brackets. It seems like people want to sell you a complete kit, and well, I tried to buy one and I waited 3 months. And phone call after phone call, oh, it'll be here, it's all good, it's about ready to be shipped. Oh, we're 96% there. And I just don't have time for that kind of thing. And in fact, I was about ready to hire somebody with a decent mill or maybe a CNC machine, provide them some drawings and make up a part myself. But I found these on the internet. You can do a search for that kind of thing. Just put in 911 Boxster caliper conversion and you'll come up with the same thing that I did. They're not cheap, but yeah, they look good. And well, they work a lot better than the originals that came off of it. Next week, we'll be putting this thing in. This is that 23mm master cylinder that I got. So it's a lot bigger in diameter. I'll be comparing it to the other one. And then I'm gonna have to do something about that frunk up there. It's got a lot of overspray in there, probably red from probably being painted before. And another thing is there's rat piss and rat dander all over the place where they kind of tore something up in there. It's kind of a mess in there. Gonna have to replace some of the tubing and that kind of thing, but that'll be done next week, so we'll be getting to that. Getting the brakes bled, and wow, maybe we can even think about getting the engine running. Not that I got a distributor, but hey, one can only wish. If you got some out of this, give me a like and subscribe if you haven't. Thanks for watching. Getting excited about that.